2024 welcomes you to its program of masterclasses in conversations and panel discussions at Kala Academy, Panjim. This is the inaugural day, and the program will feature legends, masters, and practitioners of diverse film crafts from all over the world. This forum is a unique platform that brings creative insights, in-depth knowledge, and lived experiences to enrich cinephiles, students, filmmakers, and industry professionals. Before we proceed further, may I request you to please ensure your phones are either switched off or put in the silent mode.
ഇന്ത്യൻ നിയമവ്യവസ്ഥ അനുസരിച്ച് എപ്പോഴാണ് ഒരു പെൺകുട്ടിക്ക് അസമയം
सच खोजने का कोशिश कर रहे हैं और उसमें तो कुछ गलत है नहीं.
हर दिन कोई एक नया किस्सा लेकर आएगा.
நீ நந்தினி சிஸ்டர்ல எட்ரா கையா பார்க்க நல்ல ஸ்டைலா இருக்கியே இந்த Dressல இன்னும் நந்தினி ஸ்டைல் பாக்குறியா?
And when my abuse started, I was just 8 years old.
तुम्हें एक नई बात कह के जाएगा.
इतनी भी सुंदर नहीं हूँ मैं.
तुम लड़की हो, इतनी जोर से मत हंसो.
कोई डाउट मत रखना दिल में. सिखड़ी हूँ मैं भटिंडा की.
That courage, I got it because I was confident about myself.
நர்ஸ்ல எத்தனையோ பேர் நல்லவங்க இருக்காங்க. அவங்கள பத்தி எழுதுறது, உயர்ந்த நோக்கங்களை எழுதுறது. பாரதியார் படத்தை மாட்டி வச்சிட்டு ஏன் இப்படி பெண்களை பத்தி இழிவா கீழ்த்தரமா எழுதுறீங்க?
ये याद रखना अरविंद कि अगर दूसरे की बेटी के साथ गलत हो रहा है तुम्हारी बेटी के साथ भी होगा, इसलिए बोलना पड़ेगा अरविंद.
कोई तुम्हें चाहे कुछ भी कहे, तुम अपनी सुनना.
I think that line is iconic because it just symbolizes what every woman should feel. That's मैं अपनी favorite हूँ and I am my favorite.
तुम अबला नहीं, रानी नहीं, अप्सरा हो.
The very first session today that we start with is a panel discussion on the impelling topic, women's safety and cinema. At any workplace, only when people are safe can they function with full effectiveness and give their best. The world of cinema, too, should not be a distant entity when it comes to the safety and security of women. We have a proficient panel of speakers who will share their thoughts and experiences with a hope to contribute towards this liberation through the art of cinema. With a warm round of applause, let's welcome on stage actor, producer, and social activist whose campaigns have been focused on women empowerment, our moderator for this session, Srimati Vani Tripathi Tiku. Let us now welcome a renowned actress, television host, and politician with over 200 films in multiple languages and a recipient of numerous awards, Srimati Khushbu Sundar. Our next panelist is the star of multiple films in Telugu, Tamil, Malayalam, and Kannada, the recipient of National Award for Best Actress, Srimati Suhasini Maniratnam. Up next, we have the critically and commercially acclaimed writer, director, and producer known for writing powerful women characters, Shri Imtiaz Ali. Our next panelist is an actress whose rise to prominence through her acting talent is an inspiration for many. The winner of 2 Filmfare Critic Awards for Best Actress, Srimati Bhumi Pednekar, who will be joining us shortly. May I now request Srimati Neerja Shekhar, Special Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India, to please come and felicitate our celebrated speakers and the moderator. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us with the felicitation. And now over to Srimati Vani Tripathi Tiku with a gracious request to commence the session.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. It's the first day of the festival. This is the first session, and you all have come in full strength. So one round of applause for this amazing audience. Thank you, friends. I'm in august company, very solemn people, also very happy and solemn people, with all these lovely, achievers and people who've believed in equality in equal measure all their lives. Also, as a festival, this being the first panel of the first day of the International Film Festival of India, Goa, is also a message. And through the course of this talk, this narrative that we wish to inquire, safe spaces and women's safety in cinema, you will realize that what the message is and what the festival is trying to exemplify by doing this on the first day. So, without further ado, let me first start with Suhasini ji. Iconic in her work, one of the first women cinematographers of India. You've of course seen her work, you've seen her as an actor, as a producer, but also remember she was the first voice of women behind the scenes as a director or directress of photography. Am I right? So Suhasini ji, this year has been a lot of conversation about our cinematic spaces safe for women. You are iconic. Everybody has seen the kind of work you've done over the years. Also, you're a part of a committee which unraveled a very misfortunate narrative that happened, in the country a while ago. Give us your initial thoughts on this.
Good morning, everybody. I think let's start it on a very, very positive note. Those who have come into the festival for the first time, how many first-time festival? Wow. Whoa. It's amazing. I just wanted to share how it was for me 43 years ago. I was a first-year student in the Adyar Film Institute, which is the only film institute in South India at that point. And the festivals were always happening in Delhi 1 year, and the next year it'll be in a regional city, whether in Mumbai or in Calcutta or in Chennai or in Bangalore. So I was there going from one venue to Vignad Bhavan, and I saw this tall man standing there, and I got up and I offered him my seat. Guess who that tall, wonderful, one of the best filmmakers, probably the best filmmakers in India was? Any guesses? Satyajit Ray. Yes, it was Satyajit Ray. Whoa. And Satyajit Ray, I had goose flesh, and I was just looking at him, and I offered my seat, and he said, you can see me standing on my legs, so I'm perfectly fine. So you go ahead and you sit. He told that to an 18-year-old girl. I didn't think I was a woman or a girl at that point. I was somebody who was passionate about cinema. And even today, I think that's the way I behave. That is how women should be who are in cinema. I don't think you should put too much of this thought into your head that I'm a woman, I'm going to be looked at differently, at place of work or the characters that I'm portraying or in my, the way I work. I don't think that's how it works. We all are first human beings, then we are women and men, I want to start on that positive note. When I started as a 17-year-old, there were 150 boys, as I told you.
And you were the only girl in the class.
I was the only girl, and I was the only girl who had more than 5 rupees in my purse. So I was like, all the boys were after me, not because I was a woman, I had more money than them. I could buy tea and coffee for them. I'm thankful to those 150 boys because I'm a confident person today, thanks to the way they treated women in their teens.
Thank you so much for that. And Bhumi Pednikar with us. Let's welcome Bhumi Pednikar. You saw her host a beautiful opening ceremony yesterday, and welcome, Bhumi. Khushbu, how many people remember Khushbu ji's film as a child artist? And do you remember the name? Which one? Kartavya. Can you imagine? Meri Jang?
Dard Ka Rishta was my last film
Dard Ka Rishta.
as a child actor.
Right. So, we've all seen Khushbu over so many decades blossom from a child artist to an amazing youngster and to a formidable woman with so many voices today. Also somebody who stands up for equality at the workplace as far as women in cinema is concerned. What are your initial thoughts on what we are here to talk about today?
Hi, good morning, Vanakkam. I think I would just voice what Suhasini ma'am said. I think born into a very, very conservative Muslim family with 3 brothers older than me, being the last in the family, how the atmosphere would be at home. But fortunately for me, I have a mother who is just 4 feet tall. वो कहते हैं ना, बड़ा धमाका छोटे पैकेट में. That is my mom. And I don't think she ever differentiated between me and my brothers. If my brothers were allowed to go out and play on the streets, I was equally allowed to go and play with them. So I think that's where it, set in my mind that it's perfectly fine for me to be out on the streets playing with the boys and doing as equally whatever my brothers do. And I think when I came into cinema, I worked with these stalwarts where I have seen how they equally respected women. I very clearly remember an incident. I was shooting for a film called Desh Premi, and you had Hema Manini and senior Mr. Bachchan. And the minute Hema ji came on the sets, it was not only Manmohan Desai or Ketan Desai who stood up and said, "Good morning, Hema ji." It was including Mr. Amitabh Bachchan who stood up and said, "Hema ji, good morning." So, those kind of things stay with you, that how men treat you. And I very firmly believe that the education of respecting women starts at home. That is extremely important, rather than telling a girl that this is how, because you're a girl and this is how you have to behave. I think it's high time we tell the boys that this is how you have to treat a woman. And the education starts at home. And I think cinema, the kind of cinema I have done, or the industry that I grew up in, I've never seen, the difference that because you're a woman, you're treated differently. Very stray incidents probably would have happened where the male chauvinism or male ego definitely comes out knocking and, peeps out of the door. But predominantly, I have worked with people who have given equal respect and treated you very equally. So I think that's where it starts, and I have been one of the lucky ones, is what I would say.
How many of you remember Bhumi Pednikar's first film? Come on, quite a few. What was it? It's a chorus. You know why that film stands out and almost is a crack in a very thick glass ceiling? Because she not just looked different and prepped for the role to look the character of a certain body type, it also spoke about a generational conditioning that you grew up with, how much a woman should be educated, how she should be looking, and the same patriarchy, that misogyny that we deal with every single day of our lives was so beautifully reflected in the film. Welcome, Bhumi, and tell us, from Dam Laga Ke Haisha to now, you have broken so many glass ceilings around you. How has this journey been, and what was the journey of that first film?
Well, good morning, everyone, and I again want to apologize for my delay. I'm going to complete 10 years next year, and thank you so much for such a heartwarming introduction. I think Dam Laga Ke Haisha is a very special film, not just to me, but also the film connected so deeply with people that it's still the first thing that they come and tell me that we loved you in Dam Laga Ke Haisha, and that's truly very special. And I think the film is special for all the things, all the reasons that you listed, that it truly questioned the status quo. And I think through my work, I'm constantly trying to do that. I remember before, like you, ma'am, I'm also born in a fairly liberal family. It's just my sister and I, but we were never told कि तुम्हें बड़े होके शादी करनी है या this is not like your permanent house, etc. We were always told, we were instilled a lot of ambition and drive in us. We were always told, okay, what are you going to do? What are your career goals? What are your ambitions, etc. So I did not realize that there was such sexism in our society till I actually stepped out. And now it made sense when my father was completely against the fact that I am going to enter the films. क्योंकि वो तो अपनी वो सोच रहे थे कि मेरी बेटी को मैं कैसे इस दुनिया में भेज दूँ, लेकिन ये दुनिया इतनी खूबसूरत है जो मुझे मौका नहीं मिला उनको ये बताने का, but I'm sure wherever he is, he understands it, that even though he sent me into the big bad world, I feel very, very protected because of the people that I worked with. Again, like you said, I had the fortune of working with co-actors, filmmakers, producers that created a very safe environment around me. And I hope to do the same within my ecosystem, because that's the only way you can bring about change, right? The things that you have faced as individuals, if you put the same conditions onto others, then you're not really changing the cycle of conditioning that has gone on for decades and generations. Even when Dam Laga Ke Haisha happened, I was so pleasantly surprised because I was like, okay, here is a Hindi film heroine in a Yash Raj movie who is not going to look like any of the girls that they have cast in their films before. Because I grew up looking at women and I was like, okay, I don't look like them, so how am I going to become a female lead? And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted films around me. But I fortunately became an actor in a time where the way I looked was secondary and what I gave on screen was primary. And I'm so, so fortunate to have had all these opportunities and just the platform.
Thank you, Bhumi. Imtiaz is very special. He's not just special because he's only the other sex on the panel, being a male, no. Imtiaz and I were in college together, so I've literally grown up. He was one of my first directors in the theater. And what stands out about Imtiaz is that his films are about women who are very empowered intrinsically. You look at a Jab We Met, and that whole journey till Amar Singh Chamkila, you see women who are subtle and nuanced, and yet they are so powerful, and they represent what Bhumi just said, women who are everyday and have strengths. And he's never scared to tell those stories. So Imtiaz, why are you so different? What happened to all the men around us, and then there was a Imtiaz Ali, full stop.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me loud and clear? To begin with, I must say that everything that these wonderful ladies have said before me is also valid for me. But if you ask me this question, I feel like I should say a few things. One of them is that as I was growing up, I saw a world around me. I saw my mother, my relatives, you know, neighbors, etc. And then I saw cinema. And I saw these beautiful women and men on the large screen, and they would behave in a certain way. And I felt my life and the people that I see is a little different from how it is in cinema. When I became a filmmaker, two things happened. One is that somehow I was writing what I've seen in my life. You know, the kind of women that I have grown up around. In my house, for instance, there would be a power battle between my father and mother, but that is between two individuals, and each one had an equal chance of winning that fight. You know, there was no gender there. My mother is very intelligent. We were always a bit sad about the fact that she would catch us everywhere. And all the women that I grew up in my life, my sisters, my friends, teachers, were very smart. I don't think as a kid I thought that men and women are equal, because I was always more attracted to women. That was very clear. So they were a bit special in that way. However, there was no question of unequal dignity. Then I've had a journey. I've been in a small town, I've been in a large town, I've done theater in Delhi, then I came into movies. Believe me, the film industry in Bombay is remarkable for the way it treats its women. You know, down to the core, if there are 200 people working in a unit, and I feel that, you know, there are ladies over here that can either support or negate my view, but it's a very safe space for women, per se. I, as a man, have noticed this. For instance, I'll give you an example from one of my movies. There was a shot in Jab We Met where just a lighting had to be done, ma'am. And so the cameraman said at the last moment that, oh no, I need a light there. And I need a little cut or whatever. The shot was of the top berth. So the girl had to go and sleep over there. And she's mumbling in her sleep. At the last moment, he thought he should put a light. Before that, he was not putting a light on top like that. So Karina was lying down over there. So I said to Karina that, come down. You know, let him finish. This guy will come and he'll light up. Now, Karina is a kid of the film industry. You know, she knows much more about the ethics of films than even I do, film shooting at least. She said, no, I'll just keep lying down over here. They will come on the berth and they will set the light and they will put the cutter. Now, 3 men are like standing on the lower berth. She's lying on the top berth of the side thing and they are doing the light. And I'm looking at her and I'm saying, Karina, you sure? Yeah. She didn't understand what my problem was. She said, Abhi kaun utrega, chadega, main idhar hi theek hu. You know, and I was like, wow.
Do you just realize what he just said? Yeah. That how safe she felt with 3 lightmen hovering over her, you know, lighting the shot.
And there are like countless situations I've seen where we light women up, where we are shooting. These boys, and most of them are men in the unit or in the cinema unit that are lighting boys and, you know, property people and all. Now, progressively, more and more girls as well. But at that time also, nobody looked at a woman wrong. There were so many times when they got the chance to. And I always note that. But they wouldn't. Like the general mass of the people in the film industry in Bombay, unfortunately, don't look at women wrong. Why I say it is unfortunate is because of what has happened recently. You know, all of this scandal happened, and I'm like, it's really heartbreaking. you know,
Yeah,
Sorry, I would like to add with what Imtiaz said about we feeling safe. You know, you have these vanity van cultures now. Me and Hasni have worked in places where we didn't know where to go for a nature's call. But our biggest support system used to be our light man, our cameraman, the camera assistants, the spot boys, and you know, the generator vans. And you know, we would change, we needed to change. There are no vanity vans, we are shooting in an outdoor, light ja rahi hai, film khatam ho rahi hai, khatam karna hai kaam. And there would be these 2 light men or 2 costume assistants or even assistant directors for that matter. They would hold 2 bed sheets or 2 lungis and say, "Aap andar change kar lo, hum log dekh rahe hain aapko." And we would be so comfortable changing because हमें पता था कि वो लोग पलट के देखने वाले नहीं हैं. So you know that very safe and secured atmosphere was something we all grew up with.
So Hasni ji?
You know, just adding to what you said about a train's set. In a real train, my cousins put on their socks when they are sleeping in the night. Because they don't want to know. They don't want people to know there is a woman sleeping in the berth. You know, I was like shocked because I grew up in a safe environment like the one that you're talking about. And then my cousin who travels from one city to the other, she says, I don't take off my socks because I don't want anyone to know that there is a woman sleeping in the berth.
So, Bhumi,
Yes.
there is a lot of talk about how do we create an environment which, you know, where women feel safe, whether there are safe spaces, and listening to all of you, it looks like the film industry is one of the safest places for women to work. And it has been empirically because Suhasini ji and Khushbu are from the time, as she said, there was no vanity van culture. Is the vanity van culture a problem where we are culturally becoming different? Everything is a 30-second story. Everything is out on social media. Is that, or there is a generational change of how women are portrayed and how they are looked upon?
Ma'am, I think even today, like, it's so refreshing and it just makes me feel so happy that things were so wonderful back then because I don't know a lot about how it functioned then. But even today, like just digressing a little from your question and going back to what Imtiaz commented on, there are so many times that we are on a set and we aren't wearing something that's the most comfortable, and if the costume assistant has to come and maybe fix a mic or, you know, fix us, everybody turns around because that's basic respect, that's basic etiquette, that's how it's supposed to be. So, you know, our sets are so safe. There are so many times, you know, we don't really have any fixed hours when we are shooting, right? 2 to 2 भी होता है, 4 to 4 भी होता है. सुबह के 4 बजे आप आरे से वापस घर जा रहे हो. And every time I ask my team, because I have some wonderful women that work with me, and I ask them, I'm like, will you guys be okay? And they are so sure and confident because they're like, yeah, we'll be okay. मैं light dada के साथ, we are a team, we all are going back. So while they are on set, they are safe. The scary part is what happens once they leave that safe environment. That's what scares me. I have a little cousin that lives with me. She moved from Delhi over here because her parents were so petrified that how will she travel from Gurgaon to DU every day? That's how petrified they were. She was moved to Bombay. But with the way things, everything that we've been listening to, just the atrocities, the violence against women, and how gruesome everything has become. When I was growing up, I never saw my mom worried. I could come back home at 1 a.m. and yes, I would have calls because I have broken curfew, but those calls weren't because that my daughter is not safe. Again, maybe being born in a city like Bombay is major privilege, you know, but I always felt safe. But I don't feel like that about my younger cousin that goes now. Like post 10 o'clock, I'm like, okay, will she be okay? Like the rules are so different. Like she is growing up in a different world than I did, and we are 8 years apart. It's not as much. So I just feel like it's so unfair. And again, sorry, I digress, but coming back to your question, I don't think vanity culture is the problem. I feel like why shouldn't there be comfort? You know, the fact that there wasn't a place where women or even men, where people could go to the bathroom is not okay. I feel like that is changing and this is how it should be because yes, our work is very demanding and it's very tough, but basic necessities and basic rights to a toilet or hygiene and sanitation should be there. But having said that, the whole 30-second life, reel culture, etc., I don't think that has anything to do with how gruesome our mentality is becoming. You know, the disconnect, the power play, I feel has always been there. But our industry has always been in focus because we are glamorous and, you know, we are more gutsy with the way we dress. We are more opinionated. So wherever there is opinion, there will be like pushback. So I feel like we are always in focus. But if I kind of step back and I see, I'm like, no place is safe. No work environment is safe for women. Our environments are very safe. I think the conversation should be with everybody in this room. We all have family members that are not within the industry. What are we doing for them and for their environments to make sure that there is some kind of safety and protocol that is maintained?
See, there is a difference between other industries and the film industry, because in other industries, you go to work and then come back home. But what happens with films is that about 200, 300 people move to a new place and they live there as a family. Yeah. Sometimes there are lines that are crossed. Absolutely. Willingly, unwillingly. We are talking about lines when it's crossed unwillingly. Absolutely. You know, that is when I think it's very important. So in a unit, in a normal unit, because we are all producing films and we are watching who are these 200 people who are there, and there will be, you know, certain aberrations. There will be some people who will take advantage of the fact that they are away from family. And there are younger people who are in the industry who are not very experienced about how the industry functions, so they might take advantage. Okay, so I asked my husband this morning, so what do you do? So he gave me a name of a person that we threw out of our set because he crossed a certain line. And after that he said, most of the people should be thrown out, he said. If 200 people are going to be in a village, new village, without any rules, there will be lines that are crossed. Yes. That is where the problem is. I think even in Malayalam industry, it's the same thing. In Tamil films, we go back home to Chennai. In Telugu films, we go back home to Hyderabad. Kannada films, we go back home to Bangalore. Hindi films, you go back home to Mumbai. But in Malayalam films, they don't go back home because there is no particular place. It could be Trivandrum, it could be Calicut, it could be Cochin. So there were lines that were crossed. You know, so that is what we have to address now.
You know, something that I have noticed, right? Like recently, even within our fraternity, a couple of years ago, there was this movement that had happened and people were called out. And what I feel is that, okay, you take that first step where you make sure that person is not on your set, but that person will be working on some other set. And he will still get work. And people will still be associated with him. Even though, and everybody knows, right? Like, within closed doors, everybody knows. So how, like, what are those strong steps that we can take that when there is a true perpetrator, that person is punished?
We both know what is possible, but Imtiaz, can you tell us, you know, if there is a perpetrator and there is a violation of crossing lines, how does a film unit react to it?
There have been 3 people that I have sent back in my life, and from different sets, from different places. I'm happy that it's only 3. And sometimes some of my movies have simulated the older times. For instance, we did a movie called Highway, where we were on the road constantly. And so we had to, again, go behind the makeup. There was no makeup van, we just cars and a generator van. And mostly there was not generator van also. So even for Nature's Call or to change, Alia had to be taken. And sometimes we would be at certain spots where it was not possible for anybody but maybe the guy who's holding the cutter, maybe the cameraman or myself or the actor, Randeep, to be the people to give her that safe space that we wanted at that point of time. But there have been these 3 unfortunate incidents. You know, I feel that there is this umbilical cord between society and films. Society and films can't exist
independent of each other.
Independent of each other, they influence each other. I do feel, Bhumi, that the portrayal of women in cinema has been changing over a period of time positively. There are some movies that we can go back and watch, and I don't want to name them, but there are instances
This
in
is
my
exactly
mind.
what I was anyway coming to, and quickly I want everybody to respond. Imtiaz, portrayal is a very big, so it's also a kind of a knee-jerk reaction where people say, oh, you know, women dress so badly and they're so badly portrayed. So if cinema is reflecting it, society is only reflecting it back. And this is a conversation that has been happening for decades. When Suhasini ji was making films, Khushbu and now Bhumi and you, this has always been there. What is it that we need to be conscious about the portrayal part, which also becomes a point of reference? Because as Bhumi says, the set is safe, what is happening outside? And the outside says, you are responsible for it because you are the one who was portraying it. So this becomes a bit of a catch-22. What do we do to create, again, a safe space, an aesthetic space when it comes to what we are reflecting as far as women is concerned, and how conscious we are of that change?
You know, I feel that one must look within themselves, being a man or a woman, but I can talk from a man's point of view, that we go on an outdoor shoot, let's say Suhasini ji. Just because we are not with families doesn't mean that we can start crossing lines. You know, it should be that I or any man is in a place where he can do any evil. Nobody else is going to stop him, except for his own conscience or his own sense of propriety. It is so stupid to cross a line with a girl where you might actually be on the other side with her consent, with her willingness, with her participation. So I feel that, yes, this is something very cultural. We carry it amongst ourselves. If we try to portray in our films false values, values that we don't feel but we feel will make us look good, that also doesn't look true. That also looks like artificial. So I feel that one must look into themselves. And yes, things change. I feel that when I was born, when I was growing up, this country, or this world maybe, was a bit sexist by comparison to now. This is what I feel. I have seen, let's say, in the by-lanes of Amritsar today, small girls in scooties going around at night. 20 years back, this was not the scene in those same gullies of Amritsar. Like I would hardly see a woman going out. So things are changing, and that is also changing because generations over generations, parents of like my generation or previous have given the ability to their girls to do this despite knowing that people from their generations would perhaps like look at them wrong, etc., etc. So that courageous battle at every step is being fought. And that representation, that is affecting the representation in cinema. That is positive, but I feel that we cannot be tolerant to a gender injustice at workplace. I think the tolerance has to be zero. There has to be no question about it. Because it cannot be that, somebody who is a part of the team, who's come to give their everything to the film. When we are working, we cannot work with barriers. It affects our performance at any level. We have to be open. We have to be vulnerable. We have to be romantic. We have to look good. All of these things have to happen. At that point of time, no one should think that they are going to be like misused or somebody's going to take advantage of it. Tolerance has to be there. Tolerance has to be zero about this.
I think a round of applause for such a courageous statement coming from Imtiaz.
I'm not saying this.
No, really, it's true. But on portrayals, I quickly want, because there are a lot of people who want to ask a lot of things. Suhasini ji, Khushbu, Bhumi, portrayals, what are your thoughts about how portrayals are very much a part of this safe space, that we are trying to, speak of here?
I think it's a double-edged sword for me because I feel like art should not have boundaries. There are characters that are flawed, and they should be represented on screen. But having said that, I also feel like we as a society don't necessarily take the right messaging out of that portrayal.
If you ask me, hardly 10. because I think I am in a position to choose and decide what I want to do and the kind of films I project on screen. It's not about how I am going to be projected on screen or what the audience is going to think. I think as a very, very responsible mother of two young girls, I think it was extremely important for me to understand that what am I going to teach them? I don't want my girls to turn back and look at me and, ask me, said, Amma, what the hell were you even thinking when you were doing that? Yes, there have been a couple of films which, fortunately, they have not seen all my films. But there are a couple of films which probably they see there's something going on in television and now the YouTube sab aa jata hai. So they were like, what were you even thinking? I'm like, okay, guys, that was then, not now, not anymore. I think it's very important to understand what are you going to leave behind. As a producer, my husband being one of the most successful filmmakers of Tamil cinema, we personally, yes, we make very, very entertaining films. We are not here, I'm not going to shy away and say that I'm here to do a social work. No, we make entertaining films, but we do it with responsibility. We understand what is required, what is important. And I think we, all of us, have to come together and understand that what we are giving back to the society. But I also would like to add that, blaming the cinema industry and saying that, अरे हम सिनेमा देख के बिगड़े हैं, we need to understand that everyday newspaper में जो news आती है ना, वो पढ़ के हम script लिखते हैं. So that is where it starts. So blaming the industry is something like you want to just brush off your problems, brush off, your probably crippled mindset and किसी और पे blame डाल दो. You don't want to be responsible for that. I think we write scripts, what we read on in the newspapers and जो हम news देखते हैं. That is where we get inspired from to write scripts. So I think it goes. We all have to collectively come together and understand what are we going to leave behind.
I think I was very adamant. I said no from the beginning. I think the problem with young girls who are coming to the industry is that they don't know how to say no. And in a typical film set, whether it's in the South or in the North, I mean, when you're an established heroine or a hero, the hero comes in, looks at the scene, and there is a discussion of 15 minutes on how to change the scene to suit him. Absolutely. It's never the same for the heroine. It's never, because heroines are supposed to be obedient. You're just supposed to listen to the scene and rehearse your line and perform. So I think when I was in 25, I realized that, hey, if he can discuss, argue, I can argue too. Yeah. So I started arguing, and I said, I don't like the scene.
Which means the power of negotiation always lies with you.
With you.
That negotiation you should never,
the obedience has to be put at home and in school. Yeah. Fantastic. Not in the set.
Brilliant. I know you have loads of questions, but one little advice from me, do not give opinions. Keep your questions very short. I have barely 10 minutes because there is a session which we have to start on time next because it involves some international guests, otherwise I would have gone on. Is the mic there? Where is the revolving mic? You have. Wait, sir, wait. Where is the mic? Where is the mic in the audience? Yeah, quickly come to her. Please do not give opinion. Please ask one small question and allow them to answer. Yeah, and be specific who you're asking the question to. Right, sir.
Sir, I am Sheikh Ahmed from Belgaum. I am a student of cinema. My small question, sir. हर इंसान की ज़िंदगी में माँ अहम होती है. उसके बाद बहन और बीवी.
The mic isn't working.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Mic का problem है. मेरा
Keep it closer, sir.
Keep it closer. Sorry, I will rectify. Sir, हर इंसान की ज़िंदगी में माँ एक अहम रोल अदा करती है. उसके बाद बहन और बीवी होती है जो कुर्बानियाँ करते करते मदरनिया बन जाते हैं. और सर हमारा ओपिनियन कुछ नहीं है. आज हम लोग और आदमी को इंसान बनाती है माँ. और हमारा जो कर्तव्य है.
सर सवाल क्या है? सवाल बोलिए. जी.
सवाल यह है मैडम कि हम लोग इसकी इज्जत क्यों नहीं करते? हम लोग उसे क्या है कम नज़र से क्यों देखते हैं? आजकल देखा जाए तो माँ ही सुप्रीम होती है. और हमारे इसमें देखिए माँ का दर्जा होता है. उसके बाद इज्जत भी करनी चाहिए, इसकी पूजा भी करनी चाहिए, जैसा लक्ष्मी और सरस्वती हैं।
जी जी।
जो हमको ये ज्ञान
सवाल आपने किससे पूछा है? आप
मेरा सवाल यह है कि मैडम हम इसकी इज्जत क्यों नहीं
नहीं, आप किससे पूछ रहे हैं सवाल?
मैं
तीनों से पूछ रहे हैं। ओके, थैंक यू सर, विल आंसर इट। जी 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 जी, खुशबू जी से और भूमि से। जी 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 जी।
नमस्कार, आपका सवाल बहुत अच्छा है
थैंक
कि
यू,
हम
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू, थैंक यू।
आपका सवाल है कि जब हमें माँ बड़ा करती है, पैदा करती है, बड़ा करती है, तो हम माँओं की इज्जत क्यों नहीं करते हैं, औरतों की इज्जत क्यों नहीं करते हैं? वो इज्जत इसलिए नहीं होती है क्योंकि बचपन से आप देखते हैं कि शायद आपके पिता ने घर में आपकी माँ की इज्जत नहीं की होगी, माँ ने अपनी ओपिनियन रखने की कोशिश की होगी, तो ये होता है कि माँ चुप रहती है जब वो जानती है कि गलत हो रहा है, लेकिन फिर भी चुप रहती है क्योंकि जो घर का माहौल है उसको बिल्कुल शांति बना के रखना है। तो जब आप बड़े होते हैं, बच्चे जब बड़े होते हैं, उनको लगता है कि इट बिकम्स अ बर्थ राइट टू not to empower women but to have a control over her, because this is what my mother did. She kept quiet, तो other women also should keep quiet. इसलिए मैंने शुरुआत में कहा कि बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है कि औरतों की इज्जत घर से शुरू होती है, बाहर से नहीं।
वाणी जी, ब्रह्म प्रकाश दुबे, मेरा सवाल ये है पैनलिस्टों से, खास तौर से फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के बारे में, कि महिलाओं के लिए कहा जाता है, कई बार मीटू अभियान चला था, उसमें बहुत सारे खुलासे हुए थे कि जो न्यू कमर्स हैं, खास तौर से लड़कियां, उनको ये चुनौती फेस करनी होती है, नए नए प्रोजेक्ट के लिए कंप्रोमाइज़ करना होता है। तो मैं ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि इंडस्ट्री बदल रही है या फिर अभी भी खास तौर से महिलाओं, लड़कियों के लिए चुनौतियां हैं इस फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में?
चुनौतियां फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में नहीं है, महिलाओं के लिए चुनौतियां तो रोज है। एक यहाँ से जब आप शेयर ऑटो में भी जाते हो तो चुनौती है, अगर आप लोकल ट्रेन में जाते हैं वहां भी चुनौती है। चुनौतियां हर जगह है, आप फ्लाइट में भी जाते हैं तो स्टीवर्ड्स को वहां पे चुनौती है। तो चुनौती महिलाओं के लिए हर एक कोने में है, सिर्फ फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में नहीं है। मैं सिर्फ इतना कहना चाहूंगी कि जब भी आपके साथ एक बदसलूकी होती है या आपको लगता है कि आपके साथ कुछ गलत हो रहा है, मैं महिलाओं से यही कहना चाहूंगी कि उसी वक्त खड़े होके उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब दें, ना कि उस वक्त ये सोचे कि नहीं यार मेरा करियर बनना है, मुझे आगे बढ़ना है, मेरी परेशानियां हैं तो इस वक्त मैं उसको बर्दाश्त कर लूंगी। मैं अपनी एक बात बताना चाहूंगी आपको, जब मैं न्यू कमर थी, किसी हीरो ने मुझसे कहा था कि मुझे कहीं साइकिल गैप में चांस मिल जाएगा क्या। मैंने अपनी चप्पल निकाली और मैंने कहा कि सर मेरा साइज 41 है, आप यहां पर खाओगे या यूनिट के सामने खाओगे? ठीक है, तो बहुत जरूरी हो जाता है। और मैंने उस वक्त दिमाग में ये नहीं था कि मेरा करियर क्या होने वाला है, उस वक्त ये था कि मेरी इज्जत मुझे दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा प्यारी थी। तो आई थिंक हर महिलाओं से मैं कहूंगी कि चुनौतियां हर जगह होगी, हर कोने में होगी, हर कदम पे होगी, लेकिन अपनी इज्जत जब तक आप खुद करना नहीं सीखोगे, सामने वाला आपकी इज्जत नहीं करेगा।
वो चप्पल का नंबर वो जिंदगी भर नहीं भूला होगा, है ना?
बिल्कुल नहीं भूलेगा, जिंदगी भर नहीं।
सतीश,
Hello,
आर्यन सर,
right in the back.
1 minute. You can't arbitrarily take the mic. I'll tell you.
Is it working? Is it working? Can I say a small thing
एक
to
मिनट,
what
इम्तियाज
खुशबू
कुछ
जी
कहना
said?
चाहे।
मैं आपकी बात को बढ़ाना चाहता हूँ। मैं ये भी देख रहा हूँ कि मैं 15-20 साल से हिंदी फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में डायरेक्टर हूँ। मैंने भी बहुत सुना है कास्टिंग काउच के बारे में, और जो आप कह रहे हैं कि कोई लड़की आती है वो भयभीत होती है, उसको कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ करना पड़ता है। मैं आपको बताऊं कि जो लड़की, जो औरत ना नहीं बोल सकती है, उसके चांसेस बढ़ते नहीं हैं। ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर कोई लड़की कॉम्प्रोमाइज़ कर लेगी तो उसको कोई रोल पक्का मिल जाएगा। एक्सप्लॉइट करने वाले बहुत होंगे। अगर कोई लड़की ना बोल सकती है, अपनी इज्जत करती है, तभी कोई दूसरा आदमी भी उसको इज्जत करेगा। बल्कि आई कैन टेल यू विद कॉन्फिडेंस दैट मैं और बहुत सारे लोग ऐसा भी सोचते हैं that am I taking this person seriously or not? Like I have to respect that person to cast her. So please, ये एक मिसनॉर्मल है कि आप कॉम्प्रोमाइज करेंगे तो आपके चांसेस फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में बढ़ेंगे। मैंने इसका उल्टा ही देखा है, जो कॉम्प्रोमाइज करता है वो अपने करियर को भी कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर देता है।
Hi, right in the back, if you can see
एक
me.
मिनट, कौन बोल रहा है? इनके पास माइक है।
Here in the back.
Wait.
What?
You have to allow me to come to you. हाँ, quickly.
What advice?
I'll come to you after.
What advice would you like to give to young aspiring film actors with respect to safety?
Respect to?
Safety.
Who are you asking?
Anybody.
I think it's very important that you learn about work ethics before you come to the film industry. You learn to trust the right people. If you're going to depend on some shady casting director who says, do this, do that, you'll become a heroine. If you're going to fall for that, in your entire career, your strategy is going to be wrong. So you've got to be, and I think the parents also have to sensitize them. So because most of the girls who are coming in will be in their 20s, so the parents have to advise them.
Yeah,
and
very
then
important.
they should also take help of people in the film industry who are known to them. They can't, like have preconditioned notions that, like he said, I will compromise, so I will get a role. That is not how industry works. It doesn't work like that
Beautifully
at all.
said. Yeah.
At all.
Thank you.
One last question.
Parents are
Really?
not giving
No,
time
Satish,
these
we
days.
don't have seconders. Yeah.
Right in the back. I've had the mic for a while now.
Yeah. Last. No, she has the mic. She's been waiting for a while. Yeah.
Hello, sir. My name is Avanti Mahesh Gauri, and my question is for you: that how media, culture, and society influence you as a filmmaker to portray women's safety in cinema?
I think it's more than media. I think the home culture in which I've grown, if I look back, that influences me to portray women in a certain way. I portray women in the way that I've seen in my life, not so much through the media, but with direct contact. That's what I can say.
I know there are so many questions, और ये अपने आप में इस बात का परिचायक है कि इतने सारे हाथ ऊपर खड़े हैं तो कम से कम हम सुबह सुबह कुछ दिमागों को हिला पाए हैं. But I think one word is very important, gaze, जिसको हम हिंदी में नियत कहते हैं. ये सब नियत से कनेक्टेड मसला है. अगर आपकी नियत साफ होगी तो आपका वर्क एनवायरनमेंट भी साफ होगा, आपका घर भी साफ होगा, आपका समाज भी साफ होगा. लेकिन अगर आपकी नियत में खोट है तो वो आपके काम पे, आपके व्यवहार में, आपके बिहेवियर में और आपकी पूरी पर्सनालिटी में झलकेगा. तो शायद आज this is that kind of a moment where we all are responsible to go back and look at how we actually look at women and are we keeping them safe. So thank you so much Imtiaz, Bhumi, Khushbu ji and Suhasini. And this argument or this conversation does not end here. Let us take it back to our homes, to our schools, to our colleges, and to cinema theaters or wherever we are. Thank you so much for being here with me.
With this, our session comes to an end. As a token of appreciation, we have a small gift hamper for all our guests. I call upon Ms. Gauri Nair, Head of Masterclasses in Domestic Film Festival, National Film Development Corporation, to please hand over the gift hampers.
Gauri is our, no, not first is our Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much. The popcorn. Thank you. The popcorn. The spirit of cinema.
We would like to also thank our audience for being with us. We hope you had a great time and we definitely want to see you again. Thank you and have a great day.